Yeah, once again, good evening all. Tonight, we should round up on activity-based costing. Last week, all right, thank you. No voice. Yes, we can hear you. Well, I want to believe students can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Good evening, sir. We can hear you.
Saying that there's no voice. Tonight, we should round up on activity-based costing. We started last week, we discussed the concept. Activity-based costing is a costing method, one of the modern costing methods that is developed in order to correct the deficiency of the traditional costing system. Under the traditional costing system, overhead costs are absorbed into products using production volumes. This production volume is represented by labor hours or machine hours. Under the traditional costing system, overhead cost is absorbed into product. When you say absorbed, overhead cost is included into product cost. The ordinary meaning of absorption is including overhead cost into product costing. Under the traditional method, overhead cost is absorbed using labor hours, machine hours.
Machine hours, and production value.
We explained that several factors have contributed to the overhead cost, which may not be machine hours or labor hours. That means the traditional method of costing may contain errors, may contain deficiency, because we are absorbing overhead cost using labor hours or machine hours.
Machine hour and the production value.
This overhead cost arises as a result of many factors. Many activities contributed to the overhead cost. There are several activities that contributed to the overhead cost. These activities may not be labor hours. These activities may not be machine hours. In order to correct the deficiency of the traditional absorption costing method, activity-based costing was developed. Under the activity-based costing, overhead cost is absorbed. Overhead cost is absorbed, taking into consideration the activities that has given rise to the overhead cost. These activities are called the cost driver. Under the activity-based costing method, we use those activities that has contributed to the overhead cost as a basis for sharing and charging overhead costs to products. This activities is what we call the cost driver. We explained this last week. Tonight, we are going to take one more question. We have solved question number 4. Sedeco Nigeria Limited. Please, let's go to page 123. Question number 5. Page 123, question 5. Chukura Nigerian Limited. Let us look at this question quickly. Please, are we there now? Page 123, question 5. Chukura Nigerian Limited. Can somebody confirm the page, reconfirm the page?
Yes, sir. So I'm there.
Hello.
I'm on the page now. I am on the page now, sir.
All right, let's go to this question. Please, can you reconfirm you can hear me clearly?
We can hear you, sir.
All right, good.
We can hear you, sir.
Chukura Nigeria Limited manufacture 3 products: gel, jets, and jar. Demand for the products. Demand for the products, gel and jets, is relatively elastic, while demand for the products, jar, is relatively inelastic. Each product uses the same material and the same type of labor. But in different quantities. For many years, the company has been using full absorption costing and absorbing overheads on the basis of direct labor hours. Look at that. For many years, the company has been using full absorption costing and absorbing overheads on the basis of direct labor hours. Selling prices are then determined using cost plus pricing. This is common in the company's industry. With most competitors, applying a standard markup. Please, just 1 minute. With most competitors applying a standard markup. Next, budgeted production and sales volumes for gel, jets, and jar. For the next year are 25,000 units, 20,000, and 27,600 units, respectively. Please note that production and sales volume given in units. The budgeted direct costs for the three products are shown below. We have direct material cost. We have direct labor cost. Examiner says 120 naira per hour. For gel, 300 naira per unit. Direct labor cost per unit for gel, 300. For jets, 360. For jar, 240. In the coming year, Chukura also expects to incur production cost of 6,887,000, which are analyzed as follows. We have the production cost. Next, the following additional data relate to each product. We have batch size in units, number of purchase orders per batch, machine hours per unit. The management of Chukura Nigeria Limited wants to boost sales revenue to increase profits. To do this is limited because of the use of cost plus pricing and the application of standard markup. The management accountant has suggested using activity-based since this will alter the cost of the product. And may therefore enable the company a different price to be charged. Requirement A, calculate the budgeted full production cost per unit. Using absorption costing. All workings should be to 2 decimal points. The B part says calculate budgeted full production cost per unit of each product using activity-based costing. All workings should be to 2 decimal places. All right, let's go to this. Direct. Requirement A, calculate production cost per unit using absorption costing system. Under this system, the question says overhead costs are absorbed using direct labor hour. To calculate this, please just 1 minute. Please just 1 minute. All right. Now, pick your products. You have gel, jet, jar. Pick your material cost per unit. For gel, 250, 280, and 240. Now, let's sum the two together first. And take this. Let me take this off. Get your prime cost. My pen. Please sum 250 plus 300. Our prime cost $550. This should be 640. 460. You have gotten your prime cost. That is the summation of direct cost. In this question, we don't have direct expenses. Now, overhead cost per unit. Examiner says this overhead will be absorbed using direct labor hours. Now let's get labor hours per unit. Now please look at this. Examiner says 200, 120 per hour. Labor hour is, if you are to calculate labor hour is calculated as, labor cost is equal to labor hours, the labor hours multiplied by the labor rate per hour. Examiner says labor rate is 120 naira per hour. You are giving the labor cost to be 300 naira. What is the hour? For gel, look at it. 120 per hour is equal to 300. Therefore, if I want to get hours of labor to produce 1 unit of gel, the hour becomes 300 divided by 120. That will give me 2.5 hours. To produce 1 unit of gel, I require 2.5 hours of labor. For jets, look at it, please. Examiner says 120 per hour is equal to 360. Let's create a space here. Therefore, per hour, please let me create that. Let me write it fully. 120 per hour is equal to 360 naira. How many hours per unit? Hours per unit is equal to 360 divided by 120. That will give me 3 hours. We are doing a work back. To produce 1 unit of jets, we require 3 hours of labor. Yeah. We have 120 per hour is equal to 240. Hours per unit. Hours per unit is equal to 240 divided by 120. That will give me 2 hours. That is, to produce 1 unit of jar, we require 2 hours of labor. Unlike the question we solved last week, we were given the labor hours. This question, we were not given the labor hours. We were given the labor rate per hour and the labor cost per unit. We were given the labor rate per hour and labor cost per unit. In this case, we need to determine labor hours per unit. Now we have gotten labor hours per unit. Next, our total labor hours. Total labor hours. Look at it here. For gel, we are going to produce 25,000 units. This is the units. And to produce one, we require 2 hours of labor. For gel, we are going to produce 25,000 units. And to produce one gel, you require 2.5 hours of labor. Total labor hours for gel, 25,000 multiplied by 2.5. That will give us 62,500 hours for gel. For jets, we are going to produce 20,000 units production volume. And to produce one jet, it will take 3 hours of labor. That means we are going to use 60,000 labor hours. For jam, we are going to produce 27,600 units. And to produce one, we require 2 hours of labor. That will give you 55,200. That is the labor hours for each product. Total labor hours, sum up, 62,500 plus 60,000 plus 55,200. Total labor hours becomes 177,700. Total direct labor hours. You can now calculate your overhead absorption rate. Under the traditional absorption costing, overhead will be absorbed using labor hours or machine hours. The examiner will tell you, like this question, examiner says the overhead will be absorbed using direct labor hours. Now look at it. Calculate overhead absorption rate per labor hours. This is calculated as total overhead divided by total direct labor hours. Our total overhead is 6,887,000. Total direct labor hours as calculated is 177,700. Please compute 6,887,00 divided by 177,700. We have to 2 decimal places. 38.76 per labor hour. Please, if you calculate your absorption rate, you must indicate the basis. Please note, if you calculate your absorption rate, you must indicate the basis you are using. Otherwise, the examiner may ignore it. We have calculated this. Our overhead absorption rate is 38 naira 76 kobo per labor hour. We now use this to calculate overhead cost per unit. For gel, labor hour per unit, 2.5 labor hours. For jets, labor hour per unit, 3 hours. For jam, labor hour per unit, 2 hours. And we have calculated that overhead will be absorbed at the rate of 38 naira 76 kobo per labor hour. So you come here, multiply by 38.76, multiply by 38.76, multiply by 38.76. Hours multiplied by the rate per hour will give you the overhead cost per unit. The absorption rate per hour. So calculate 38.76 multiplied by 2.5. This will give you 96.90. Next. This will give us 116.28. Next. This will give us 77.52. You have gotten overhead cost per unit. We can now return here. Here 77.52, 116.28, 96.90. You can now get full cost per unit, full product cost per unit, prime cost plus overhead cost per unit. Please, can we add? This gives me 537.52. Here you have 756.28. Here you have 646.90. You have Resolve requirement A. Calculation of budgeted full production cost per unit of each product using absorption costing 60. Any question? Clarification? All right, no question. Requirement B. Let's move to requirement B. The question says, calculation of budgeted full production cost per unit of each product using activity-based cost. Again, pick your direct material cost, pick your direct labor cost, get your prime cost. Your prime cost is the addition of direct material cost, direct labor cost, and direct expense. In this question, we don't have direct expenses. In that case, our prime cost is the summation of direct material cost and direct labor cost. This will give you $550, $640, $460. Now, we need to get overhead cost per unit based on activities using activity-based costing approach. Let's go to it now. You have the different activities. Machine setup cost amounts 1.4 million. The cost driver is number of batches. Material ordering cost amounts 1,580,000. The cost driver is number of purchase orders. Machine running cost amount 2.1 million. The cost driver is number of machine hours. General facility cost amounts 1,807,000. The cost driver, number of machine. Additional information. We have the products, batch size in units. For gel, 500. For jets, 800. For jar, 400. If you look at the first overhead cost, machine setup cost, examiner says this overhead, The cost driver is number of batches. That means this overhead will be absorbed using the total number of batches. Now, calculate number of batches now. Calculation of number of batches per product and total number of batches. Please feel free to ask questions. Now, please listen to this explanation very well. Examiner say batch size in units, 500 units. What that means is that production is in batches. A batch for gel, a batch contains 500 units. One batch contains 500 units. And we need to produce 25,000 units of gel. If a batch contains 500 units and you need to produce 25,000 units, how many batches do you require? Let me hear you. Yes, Tosin. If a batch contains 500 units, and you need to produce 25,000 units, how many batches do you require? Yes, Mr. Jamin.
50. 50 batches.
Tony, are you there?
Yes, sir. I said 50 batches.
Okay, maybe my device is not working. Okay, I think this thing is, the battery of this thing is weak. Let me try this. Yes, I can hear you guys now.
50 batches. 50.
Thank you. Now to work that out, the batch size here, the batch size five hundred units. If I'm to do 25,000 units, here I'm going to have number of batches. Number of batches. 25,000 divided by 500. That means I require 50 batches for gel. For gel, I require 50 batches. For jets, we are going to produce 20,000 units. A batch contains 800 units. How many batches? 20,000 divided by 800.
25. 25 batches. 25 batches.
For jar, we are going to produce 27,600. Number of batches, batch size, 400. Divide. You have 69 batches. Total batches, 50 plus 25 plus 69. Total number of batches, 144. Total batches. Total batches or total number of batches, 144. You can now come here. Machine setup, machine set up, cost driver rates. This is calculated as total machine setup overhead cost divided by total number of batches. The question says machine setup cost. The cost driver is number of batches. So to calculate machine setup cost driver rates, you pick total overhead for machine setup. That is $1.4 million divided by total number of batches, 144. Please compute. You are going to get 9722.22 per batch. This overhead cost is to be absorbed using number of batches. You must indicate the basis of absorption. You have calculated the absorption rate per unit of batch, per batch. You can now share the overhead. We have gel. Number of batches, 50. We have jets. Number of batches, 25. We have jar. Number of batches, 69. And we have saved 9,722.22 per batch. Bring this here. Per batch is 9,722.22. So if I have 50 batches, what is the total overhead? What is the total machine overhead? Machine setup cost for gel?
486,111.
7922.22. Here multiplied by 7922 multiplied by 22. Yes, Tony, any comments?
The 486,000. The first one, 486,111.
Thank you. Correct.
The next one, 243,000.
48611.11. The second one, thank you.
243,000. and 55.
243.
Yeah, 055.5.
055.5. Then the last one,
670, 833.18.
you have 670, 833.18. If you sum up your total, you are going to get 1.4 million. Maybe you can just have rounding off error. You have resolved machine setup, cost, driver, cost. You have resolved machine setup costs. Move to the second one. Material ordering cost. Then you are now going to calculate material ordering cost driver rates. Examiner says this overhead, the cost driver is number of purchase orders. The examiner says number of purchase orders per batch. Can you see that? Number of purchase order per batch. For gel, 4. For jet, 5. For jar, 4. Look at it. Total material ordering overhead cost divided by total number of purchase order. Now calculate total number of purchase order. Purchase order here, examiner says 4 per batch. And we have 50 batches for gel. Examiner says 4 purchase order per batch. And we have 50 batches for gel. That means total purchase order for gel, 200 purchase order. For jets, examiner says 5 purchase order per batch. And we have 25 batches here. That means total purchase order for jets, 75. For jar, examiner say 4 purchase order per batch. And we have 69 batches for jar. Total purchase order for jar, 276. Therefore, the total for the 3 products. Total purchase order. This will be wrong. Oh. This is an error. This should be 125. 125. total purchase order. This is total purchase orders. Now let's calculate the cost driver rate. Let us calculate the cost driver rate. Our cost driver rate is equal to material ordering overhead, 1,580,000 divided by total number of purchase orders, 601. Get your answer. We have, thank you, 22,000.
2,628.95.
0.95 per purchase order. Please, you must indicate the basis. We can now go and allocate. We have 200 purchase order for gel. Per purchase order is 2628.95. We have 2628.95. We have 2628.95. Answer here. Multiply by 200. Okay, let me do 2628.
525,790. First one.
We have 25290. Multiply by 125.
That's 328,618.75.
328.
It's 618.
0.97. I have
725,590.
590.68. If you sum up 1,580,000, you have allocated material ordering costs to the individual products. Next, machine running cost driver rate. Examiner says the cost driver is machine hours. Examiner says the cost driver is the machine hour. To calculate the cost driver rate, pick the total machine overhead running cost, then divided by the total machine hour. Machine hour is the cost driver rate. Now we need to calculate total machine hours. What is the machine hour for gel? Let's go back to the question. Look at it, please. Machine hours per unit for gel, 1.5 hours of machine. For jet, 1.25 hours of machine. For jam, 1.4 hours of machine. We now multiply by the production volume. Please, you are giving machine hour per unit. We are now going to bring total production units. For gel, the machine hour per unit is 1.5 hours. We are going to produce 25,000 units of gel. For jar, for jet, machine hour is 1.25 hours. And we are going to produce 20,000 units of jet. For jar, machine hour is 1.4 hours. We are going to produce 27,600 units. What is total machine hour? This will give us
7,500.
37,500 machine hours.
The next is 25,000.
Next,
25,000. Next is 25,000.
25,000 machine hours.
And the last one is 38,640. 38,640.
38,640. Totaling
101, 140. 101,140.
140. This is total machine hours. You can now calculate machine running cost driver rates. That becomes total overhead of machine running costs, 2.1 million. $2,100,000 divided by total machine hour, 101,140. 2.1 million divided by 101,140.
20.76.
20 per machine hour. You can now locate it. Total machine hour here, 37,500. Per machine hour is 20 naira.76. What is the allocation to jail? Yes, Chidera Igwe.
Okay, sir.
Please, this for jet 1.25 hours times 20 will give us 25,000, not 25,800.
For jet.
Yes, sir.
It's 25,000 I put there, not 25,800. Seven, 8, 6, 2, 3.67. Net. Multiplied by, okay, multiplied by 20.76. 519 082.46. Next. Multiply by 20.76. Eight oh two 293.85. If you sum up your total, 2,100,000. The last one, general facility cost driver rate. Examiner says the cost driver is also machine hours. So calculate the cost driver rate. This is equal to general facility overhead cost 1,807,000 divided by total machine hour 101,140. What do you have? 1,800 17.87 per machine hour. Machine hour for jet total 37,500 multiplied by 17.87. This is machine hour. Machine hour for jets 25,000 multiplied by 17.87. Machine hour for jar 38,640 multiplied by 17.87. Total here 690, 354.76. Next. Total here 46 6 5 8 points.
So that last one is not same with what I have here.
17.
Please, can you hear me, sir?
Total here.
Sir, can you hear me?
Six six nine 987.15.
Please, sir, can you hear me?
180700. We have been able to allocate the overhead to individual products. Yes. Please go ahead and speak. Phillips.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. So the figures you got are actually different from, from what I got here. Please, can you hear
I
me?
can't hear you. Let me take devices.
They're different.
Okay, go ahead and speak now.
Okay, sir. So I said the figures I have here, my own totals here, they are actually quite different from yours. So I don't know what happened.
Yes, Tony.
Okay, sir. I said my own figures here. I mean my own totals here for jets, for gel, jet, and gel are quite different from yours.
What are your totals?
Yes.
You mean
yes,
the grant
sir.
staff?
Yes, the total. I mean 37,500 times 17.87 gave me 670,125. And the second one,
37,500.
likewise the rest.
17.8. Okay, I understand. Okay, I understand what happened. What happened is that it's a rounding off. Me, I didn't round off. Okay, well, let's follow this, no problem. You have 670,125.
Correct.
Next one. Six four four 720.
So this is
I
750.
understand what happened. 750. I
It is.
understand what happened.
Yes, sir. Okay.
It's the effect of round off.
Okay.
The last one. Six 90. $496.8. If you sum it now, it should be more than the figure you have. That is rounding off error.
So which is okay to you, sir?
If you check it now, the total will be more than 1,807. That is the impact of rounding off. That is the impact of what? Rounding off. Although what I did is not wrong, oh, I choose not to use two decimal places. But the examiner says we should use two decimal places. Now, to correct rounding off effects, to correct your rounding off effect, when you get to the last year, when you get to the last products, this last product, what you can do is that your last products. You now come here and say, sum the first two, then minus 180700. When you get to your last figure, just do like this. Asterisk this. Sum the first two figures. 670, 125 plus 446, 750. When you get your answer, minus is for 1,807,000 to correct rounding off error. Then asterisk this place. You are trying to tell the examiner that what is the meaning of this asterisk now? Asterisk. This particular figure. You can put a note to the examiner. Rounding up errors corrected. Examiner will not penalize you. Now, we have been able to take the overhead to individual product. Now do a summary. Our summary of total overhead cost per products. Now, let me copy this quickly. Let's see if you can copy it. To make it neater and faster, okay. I needed this. Let's copy this. Okay. Let's go back here. Why is it giving me that? I want the dots. And undo. Okay, let me use our product jets, gel, jets, jar. One more thing, widen the margin here. Okay. Widen this. Widen this. Widen this. Widen this. Okay. All right, let's go. We start with machine overhead. Machine setup cost. Or we can take it from down. General facility for gel 670125. This is 670125 446 750 690 125. Machine running. Look at machine running. Let me even check because I didn't round off. The first one here. $778,500. The second one, $0. When you get to the third one, add the two first one together. minus the total. This should be to correct effect of rounding off. Now asterisk this. 1,000. Now take this to the summary total. Machine running. It's 02500 778 500 591,000. Next, material ordering. Let me recheck this. I think this is correct anyway. Yeah, I use this figure. 525 790 328 618 525 790 525 790 328 6 what? 618.97. The figure is missing here. 618.97. $618.97. This last one, I can just do 525,970 plus 328,618.97 minus and 5 this 00. So I'm going to have 5 here. Point 03. Rounding off error corrected. Asterisk. So the last one for material handling. So we are doing is to pick all the summary, all the total. 72591.03. Then machine setup cost. The first one, 486. 243,055.5. One 243.5 486 111.11 plus 243,055.5 minus 1.4 million. This will give us 670 833.0 trainer. To correct the rounding off. Now, when you are done, sum up the totals. Please look. Total for jet. Total for jet. Total for jar. Total for JAL, 2,889,049.42. Total for jets, 1,537,424.47. Total for jet. $2,460,526.11. You have gotten total overhead for each product. What is the based on using activity-based costing? What is the overhead cost per unit? Now introduce production units. Units. Here we are going to produce 25,000 units. Here 20,000 units. Year 27, 600. Now get overhead cost per unit. Overhead per unit. Total overhead divided by the number of units. Here we have 98 0.42. Next, 153.7. 424.47 divided by 20,000 units. Here you have 76.87. The last one, 2,889,049.42 divided by 27,600. $104.68. You have been able to allocate your overhead using activity beans. You can now return to your solution, to your first page. Based on activity, 98.42, 104.68, let me recheck the last one, 78.17. $76.87. $76.87. Prime cost plus overhead cost per unit. That will give you full product cost per unit. We can sum plus 98.42 648.42. Next. $716.78. $564.68. You have answered requirement B. Any question, clarification? The last requirement is notes. Requirement C. Discuss the impact on the selling prices and sales volume of each product with a change to activity-based costing, which a change to activity-based costing will be expected to bring about. What is the impact on our selling price, on our sales volume, as a result of introducing activity-based costing? That's what the examiner is trying to ask you. To answer this question, you are going to compare the two methods. Look at the cost. This requirement C. Ooh. To answer this question, to be able to discuss this now, we need to bring the two methods together. Let me copy this. This will help people. All right, look at this. I will now change this. I will change this to full absorption costing method. I will change this to activity based costing that we can compare now. Method. I'll remove this. I'll remove this. I'll remove this. I'll remove this. Now, back to the method. For full cost plus method. Under the full cost plus method, full cost is for the first product, 648.42. For our first product, 648.42. Our second product, 716.78. Then the last product, here the cost per unit, $642.42, 716.564 points. Point 78.68. This 648. 68. This one is 6 per unit. Under activity, what is cost per unit? So that we can compare. Under activity base, oh, this activity base, no problem. This activity base. We now go to the first method. We have 646.9, 756.28. This 646.9, 756.28. So we are going to change this. $537.52, 537.52, 537.52. So I need to change this. This becomes it becomes full cost plus. We are done. Just to this becomes activity based cost. Please compare the two costs. Now, if you compare the two, as a result of activity-based costing, jet cost will increase. The difference between the two. The difference between the two costs. $648.42 minus $646.9. This will increase by 1.52. Yet difference here, cost will fall. Minus this cost will fall by 39.5. This cost will rise by 27.16. Change in cost. Now, what this means is that for jets, that reduction in cost means that the company will add a margin. That company can afford to charge higher price now. This fall in the cost of jet. By the time you apply the margin, standard margin, by the time you apply standard margin, the selling price of jet will fall. The fall in the selling price of jet will give rise to increase in the volume of jet. I'll take that again. We have noticed that as a result of activity-based costing, cost per unit for jet will fall. We now apply a standard markup to get our selling price. The standard markup is fees. Because cost per gel has fallen, selling price per gel will equally fall. Reduction in the price of gel will enable the company to increase sales volume and possibly make more profits. Now, but again, this depends on the elasticity demand. This depends on the elasticity demand. Examiner says for jets and gel, the elasticity demand, the demand is elastic. That means a small change in price will lead to higher change in quantity sold. Because the demand is elastic in nature. A small change in the selling price of gel will lead to higher sales volume. For gel, the cost has increased marginally by 1.5, 1 naira 52 kobo. That means selling price will increase slightly. Increase in selling price of gel will lead to fall in the volume of gel. Now, because the demand is elastic, a small change in the price of gel will lead to more than proportional change in demand for gel. If you increase the price of gel by just 1 naira 52 kobo, the demand will fall more. Volume will drop. For gel, selling price will be increased by 27 naira 10 kobo. For gel, selling price will be increased by 27 naira 10 kobo. That is the change in price. Change in cost. Because we have a standard margin. Now, if the selling price increases, what is the elasticity demand for gel? Examiner says the demand is inelastic, which means that a change in selling price will have small impact on the volume. By increasing the selling price of jar, the volume, reduction in volume will be very minimal, very small. All right, we have tried for tonight. Please, when you get the video, try to listen to the explanation and try to draw your own notes out. Any question, clarification? I will be stepping out of the classroom now. Tony, I can't hear you. my air device, this thing is low. Let me see. Any clarification? You can speak now, Tony. All right, good night. Let's have a blessed evening.